For snow Friday into early Saturday and Friday into Saturday, turning much colder as another system comes in late in the week and over the weekend. I'm meteorologist Don Day on KGAB.
Anybody want coffee? I'm making coffee. Anybody want? Who wants coffee? Coffee? Anybody? Well, I'm making it now. Come and get it. You want coffee? Who wants coffee? Anybody want coffee? I'm making the coffee.
9:06 the time. It's AM 650 KGAB Radio. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. 31 degrees, clear skies out there, and sitting in the studio with me is your mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming, or who's here in the hot seat to answer just a few questions and possibly clear up some misconceptions. So first, let's just dive right into this. First thing has to do with a piece of legislation in the state of Wyoming that would make gun laws for Wyoming, just across the state, everybody has the same rules. That includes little towns, city. We're a big city as far as Wyoming is concerned, and even the University of Wyoming. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. Obviously, you're just completely anti-gun.
No,
okay.
Not at all. Very much Second Amendment supporter. I earned my hunter safety card in a junior high PE class.
Right.
Carried myself.
Back when guns were part of school.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then right after college, I was traveling the state a lot. So I had a gun with me for personal protection. I don't have a problem with guns.
Okay.
What I do have a problem with is the state taking away local control. I am a local control advocate, and this makes it, it's state directive, and I think that I think the best government is closest to the people.
Okay, now you and I agree on so many things, including that, except for, let's take a look at a driver's license. You get a driver's license, it's good everywhere in the country, and no matter what. You don't have to worry about pulling into a town and the rules are suddenly different, and now you're in trouble. So let's say I'm carrying a gun on my hip here in Cheyenne, and the laws are perfectly understandable. I know exactly what they are. But then I go to some little place like Chugwater, and I didn't know that they passed some different rules. I mean, there's so many little towns across Wyoming. And I pull into a gas station, and all of a sudden I'm in trouble. Why shouldn't the rules involving something like guns be the same across the state?
Well, if we're going to take that analogy forward, then why should we have local school districts? Let's just let the state of Wyoming run our education. Or better yet, let's just let the feds run it so that we all know from the top down what it's going to be in every locale.
Okay. So, but could you see, though, that in some cases with some things, like, again, a driver's license, some things should just be a universal, if you will.
Run by the feds.
No, I mean, as in the rules are just the same everywhere, considering what we're talking about. Not necessarily with schools, but again, I don't want to walk.
But isn't that what the Second Amendment is?
Yeah. Well,
the Second Amendment tells us that we have the right to carry. So I don't know why we need these.
Lander made some different rules. I think that's part of where it comes from. University of Wyoming and Lander each made their own.
Well,
rules.
And again, this speaks to the problem with legislation that is born out of a specific instance. And it's my understanding that this piece of legislation is coming forward because a group of individuals were at a meeting at the University of Wyoming and were told that they weren't allowed to have their guns there. So here we are, and we're making top-heavy state directive legislation over a specific instance.
All right.
I don't think it's good government.
Grab your headphones because someone has a question here. This is Glenn, who's on the phone with us.
Good morning. Great discussion. This is Cody.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, the mayor, for coming on. I just wanted to make the comment that if she's okay with the infringement on the Second Amendment, is she also okay with local control over our First Amendment rights? Maybe it'd be okay if Chugwater decided that we weren't allowed to say anything bad about President Trump there, too. So what would her
on that
be?
note, in fact, I'm going to build on what you just said. I got a caller earlier today, and I thought this was an intriguing question. So here in Cheyenne, if I'm the owner of a restaurant or a bar, well, I can't allow people to smoke in there because, well, there's this rule about smoking here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Again, Cheyenne did make its own rules there. Okay, so let's take a look at the Second Amendment and compare that to, do you think people should be able to carry anywhere they want, but the business owner gets to make their own decision? And they were comparing that to smokers. Should the business owner be able to make their own decision regarding their establishment?
I seem to remember an individual that had open carry down at Starbucks all the time. I never had a problem with that.
Okay. But I mean, let's relate that again to the smoking ordinances. There, should the owner of a business be able to decide who he will or will not allow to smoke in his establishment, if he will allow it at all or not?
Well, how lovely that decision gets to be made at a local level. We don't have statewide smoking laws. I think it's up to every city, town, municipality to be able to pass their own laws. And I'd be fine having guns in the governmental building.
Okay.
I don't have an issue.
So let Cheyenne make Cheyenne's rules. Now, should it still? There should be some, I would think, still some guidance on that from, let's say, the state constitution and the federal constitution. I mean, so there is still a template that you have to work from in order to make those rules.
Of course.
Okay. All right. If you have any questions for the mayor, 632-6500 is the phone number. Or if you're outside of Wyoming, well, it just sucks to be you, but I guess you can ask her a question anyway. More in just a moment. AM 650 KGAB.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining, bad odors, and lead with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to goodclearwater.com. That's goodclearwater.com.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-601-7991. 800-601-7991. Don't wait. Call now. 800-601-7991. 800-601-7991.
A lifetime of love. You lived a lifetime of love.
When the time comes to say goodbye, it's a chance to remember their gifts to us.
Dad used to love his walks along here.
His love will be with us every step of the way.
Life moves on, but love lasts more than a lifetime.
A lifetime of love.
Memories of a Lifetime of Love. Schrader, Aragon, and Jacoby Funeral Home.
Breaking Cheyenne news and your connection to everything on KGAB. Download the new KGAB mobile app free.
It's AM 650 KGAB Radio or KGAB.com. My name's Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Mayor Orr is nice enough to come into the studio for a little while to talk to us about a few local issues. Back to the phones I go. This is Glenn. Who's on with us?
This is Michelle and Casper. Glenn, how are you?
Good. What you got for me?
Well, I have some concerns, naturally. I'm concerned with local control aspect on fundamental rights. And the reason the fundamental rights is because they're not from the government. So the government can't really control them. I guess, school districts is one thing, depending, when's the first day of school, or how are we going to spend the money that the state gives us for education? That's one thing. Where to put stop signs, when to put stop signs, speed limits, speed bumps. Those are things that are absolutely great for local control and the purpose of local control, and that should be local control. But when it comes to our fundamental rights and our rights to defend and protect ourselves and our children, I don't understand how anybody can think that can be left up to local control. And I want to give you the operative word there. It's control. So I'd just like the mayor to address that and what other fundamental rights are, like the other caller that mentioned, say Chugwater wants to limit your speech and you can no longer say anything about President Trump, right? So which fundamental rights are acceptable to be under local control and which ones are not?
That's a very interesting argument. What do you think?
Well, I appreciate this very philosophical discussion, as we were mentioning off the air. This is a Second Amendment. This is a constitutional right. And when it comes to then what this piece of legislation is doing, where it's mandating that from a state level, how we gauge our communities, I think the Second Amendment should trump all of that, and no pun intended with that. As far as our dear president, I know. There you go. I'll be fine. But I just take issue with this particular piece of legislation, establishing for the cities, towns, and counties, and I think that, you know, you take that issue. We don't like anything coming down from the feds. We don't like them to tell us, you know, Common Core or how we're going to our health care. So, you know, this legislation doesn't do it for me.
I do think that's a very interesting argument, again, on if something is a fundamental right, then nobody should be allowed to make any law regarding it at all. City, county, state, federal, doesn't matter. It's just considered untouchable, I think, is the argument she's trying to make.
I see.
Okay. All right, let's go back to the phone. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
Good morning. This is Jim.
Yes, sir.
All right, a couple quick things. One, I'm in law enforcement, and I went to a Capitol movie theater and was told I could not carry a firearm in there, even though I'm federally protected to carry a firearm 24/7 and required by law and state statute. And it's already went to the Supreme Court, all these cities that want to enforce laws, such as that you cannot have a gun in their cities without a registration, that it's unconstitutional. I agree that, you know, the city should have the power to put laws in place, but they're not laws that are supposed to be designed to supersede the Constitution. They're laws that are to be used to be put in place to better the community, such as stop sign laws or laws that aren't, you know, already federally mandated or in the Constitution. So I don't, you know, how do we allow people to be protected if you're going to take their rights away?
Okay, thanks for calling. And I want to be clear, I don't think the mayor's interested in taking rights away. You're talking about who makes the rules.
Correct.
Okay, let's go to the next call here. I got another one. Oh, you got
I'm just
lined
gonna
up on this one.
Okay.
This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
This is Gary.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I can never get over is why politicians want to ignore the words that are written into such things as the Constitution. And when we look at something like the Second Amendment, the words are infringement. That is, the right of the people shall not be infringed. So every time we start coming up with these ideas about how we want to control things, are we not infringing?
Okay, thanks for calling. I appreciate it. Any thought? Nope.
I agree. It's an infringement.
No, I agree. It's infringement. Okay. Phone number, get involved, 632-6500. It's the phone number, or 888-503-6500. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
Hi, this is Steve.
Yes, sir.
I hear the argument that, the state's getting into this. This should be local control. No, this should be Second Amendment control. If we're saying the state can't pass laws on this, it's already covered, then why can the city do it? That doesn't make sense.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Now, but see, this is where I think you might hit a problem in your thinking, because you and I don't have a problem with local control. I want local control, but I'm with the callers on this one, and I think some things are just considered untouchable by all governments, from the local level all the way up to the federal, and so nobody should be allowed to make any rules. That's what I think he's talking about with shall not be infringed, meaning if like Lander just took a look at the laws and made a local ordinance, well, the answer would be, I'm sorry, Lander, you can't do that because it's one of those untouchables. I think that's the argument that they're trying to make to you.
I see.
Okay, let's go to the calls again. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
This is Phil.
Yes, sir. What you got for
I'm
us?
sorry, I didn't realize it was me.
All right.
I was thinking this out a while ago as I was listening to the mayor talk, and while she is probably pro-gun, pro-second, what people miss is when localities start making little laws about guns, they create a framework or a patchwork which allows the anti-gun movement to further infringe. I understand she wants to keep control of things in Cheyenne, but by passing laws to start controlling guns, it chips away at the federal second and starts allowing a framework to be created that allows the anti-gunners to fill in.
All right. Thanks for calling. This is Glenn. Who's on the phone with us?
Hi, Glenn. Scott here.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so one thing that I just want to bring up that we've been talking about as I'm listening to your show is that the Second Amendment right is in the Constitution. Education is not a right. Healthcare is not a right. It's not in the Constitution saying it's provided by the Constitution. So we keep comparing them to the Second Amendment to these other things that are not a right. And so it's not really a question. It's kind of bringing this up that we keep comparing it to things that are not, they're not provided to us by the U.S. Constitution. And so, in having the word control involved in anything that's involved in the Constitution as a right, and trying to attenuate that right, to me is just wrong.
Okay.
So, I know it's a slippery slope when you try to control something or something happens, and I kind of agree with Mayor Orr in the fact that knee-jerk things based on knee-jerk reactions when things happen, or because a group of people got together and does something, instead of it being a collective change overall, I guess, if I'm trying to make some sense of this. And I really think that is a good way to approach it, not necessarily based on an incident that happened. And then also a question to Mayor Orr. I'm not clear on her thoughts on the gun-free school zones, and if it is going to be based on a local level, is she planning on getting rid of those?
Okay.
Because I think those are just an area for criminals to congregate and to take advantage of people that can't defend themselves.
That's a good closing question. What you got?
I am opposed to gun-free school zones. I don't believe that it makes schools any safer. In fact, I think we can all agree that those cities and countries around the world that have very strict gun laws actually have really big issues with gun violence, and I don't think that that's the solution. And I'll also say further, at least in the day when I grew up, it was you had the rifle in the back of your pickup truck because you were heading out. Yeah, as soon as the school bell rang, you'd go off bird hunting, and boy, let's bring those days back.
Yeah, okay, agree with that. All right, thanks everybody for that. Now, a couple of things in the last few minutes that I have here. So first off, we're going to be demolishing a building.
We are, the Carey building, or the Z's building, as it's been known. So February 1st-ish.
When does this start so I can get time lapse?
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
curious.
we'll get that. That's a really good idea. Yeah, we should definitely do a time lapse.
Send me a note on when they're starting, because if I'm not there, I can send other people there with cameras.
Great.
And to time lapse that would be absolutely great. Just you and me, nobody listening here.
Sure.
So when the hitching post caught fire last time, did you have that thought? Because I was saying it on the air. Did the fire department have to show up so fast?
Yeah.
Well,
darn
okay.
it.
So
They did.
Yeah. What's happening with the hitching post?
The owner who lives in New Jersey, she has she's filed her appeal. She has the right to do. Now it goes before the Building Code of Appeals towards the end of the month, and they'll rule on whether or not it should be condemned.
Okay. And so how long can that possibly drag on before, or is there finally a date when that sucker comes down?
We don't have a drop dead date on that, but boy, we're certainly moving ahead. We believe it should be condemned and scraped.
At some point, it's just going to fall down anyway, so might as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, pretty exciting to hear about. Let's talk about this deal where we're going to get some Wi-Fi down there.
Yeah.
How is this working out? And right away, the taxpayers are going to wonder, well, how much is this costing us?
Who's paying for it?
Yes.
Not the taxpayers.
Okay.
And it's not a city-owned broadband. This is a very generous gift from Microsoft, $150,000 to the Chamber of Commerce's foundation, and that will be providing for free Wi-Fi in the depot area.
Right.
The thought is to get that up and going this summer, see how that works, and then build upon that in the future, expand it along 15th Street for the farmers market, and then possibly other areas of the community as well. But this is a great partnership with the private sector.
Okay. Now, when I think of the depot area, it would help a lot for when we have parties down at the depot. I can see all sorts of people grabbing free Wi-Fi when they're down there at the party, but you'll have to help me out because that's not where I go and hang out. Are there people constantly hanging out there at the depot that would take advantage of the Wi-Fi, you think, or just show up? Or
well,
it's a big open area.
We have to start someplace,
Okay,
and I
good.
think especially for the spring and summer, it's going to be the perfect time
Just to experiment.
with the splash pad. Yeah,
Sure.
To
okay. Now with the
to get
farmers
online.
market heading all the way down, that I can see.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those people that are doing business up and down there are using Wi-Fi anyway, so
Right.
this wouldn't cost them anything for their telephone service. They would have Wi-Fi.
Correct, and I think the other thing that this is going to be able to do is help the downtown district area be able to have some good data, be able to monetize it
Sure.
Through advertising sales, much as.
So if it spreads out, any thought on how it would spread out across? Because there are some downtowns, like if you go to New Orleans, the Big Easy, the whole downtown area is just covered in Wi-Fi.
Yeah. It. Who knows how far we could take that out, but certainly I think the downtown area, the West Edge, possibly our parks, Lions Park around the Botanic Gardens, Frontier Days area.
Okay. I think the answer, though, for the listeners and for me anyway, is going to come back to as long as the taxpayers are not, if they're willing to do this, hey, that's great. As long as it's not costing the taxpayers anything.
Absolutely, private sector. Let's
Yeah.
let's help them make some money.
Okay, all right. Now, speaking of, I'm a big farmers market guy. I'm a huge farmers market.
Yeah, I love it.
I would love to see, and I know this is not really in your office to do this. Boy, that expand from the depot itself. All the way down to the end. And I think there's an opportunity for them to bring in more vendors or something like that. There's also some businesses there.
Yeah.
I mean, some storefronts that could, boy, I'd love to see those get filled up too. How do we do that? How do we fill some of the empty stores around here in the downtown area?
Well, yeah, I think that's great. I think that the farmers market is doing nothing but expanding, and I think there's a waiting list even for vendors. And but those private, if you own a building downtown, get on it.
You were starting an idea a while ago where, what was it, a shared
worker space kind of.
Worker
Yeah,
space.
absolutely.
How's that working out?
We're still it's our buildings with a purpose. We're still working on that. We're really excited with some of the developments we're seeing downtown.
Okay, because I would love to see, I'm a big fan of the Snowy Owl Coffee thing. And they've been looking for a space somewhere, and I keep looking at that thinking, boy, if they can find some space downtown, something like that, but I'm not sure what the deal is with the different business owners down there, building owners. But
Well, the building owners, what we're offering for basically an incentive, if you will, is $5,000 off of building permitting fees to try to incentivize folks downtown. But we're filling up a lot of those vacant buildings. The Bell Building's going to be filled. We've got a restaurant coming into the Greer Building, a restaurant coming into the 1901 Capitol. So
hopefully it'll look good. Okay, Mary, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Glenn.
650 KGAB Radio or KGAB.com. Here's what I got lined up for you. Coming your way just moments from now. Got Fox News, got to look at sports, got to look at your weather forecast, updated from Don Day, dayweather.com. Then you and I get back into it, and it's open phones the rest of the way. 632-6500 is the phone number, or 888-503-6500. 34 degrees, clear skies, Fox News.
Welcome to the YOPreps.com radio report for Monday. I'm Frank Gambino. The Glen Rock wrestling team certainly has some high hopes after finishing second at the 2A state tournament a year ago. The Herders took third at the Blazer duels over the weekend in Torrington and have a returning state champion in Tate Stoddard, who won it all at 113 pounds a year ago and then competes at 120 this year. His coach Nick Dillon says Stoddard has the drive to improve.
We had stiff competition coming into the season, going to the out of season tournaments. He wrestled last spring, trying to push himself against the best guys in the country, just to try to get that better competition and to try to make him go to that next level.
Glen Rock also returns